Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I am a yoga and breathwork facilitator here in New Zealand. I also make videos on YouTube, mostly days in the life and cinematic vlogs just about my own path and spiritual journey and tools, practices, rituals and ceremonies that really help me in this journey through life. And sometimes I also like to do a little sit-down chat style videos, which is what this is. Today I really wanted to talk about how breathwork has really helped me with anxiety. I never really feel like I experienced anxiety up until about 3 or 4 years ago. I definitely did have a bit of anxiety when I was a teenager, but it was very intermingled and intertwined with a eating disorder that I had at the time as well. And so I never really saw it as its own entity. It kind of was in relation to food and exercise and eating. And so I more so saw it as just another manifestation of my eating disorder. So it wasn't actually until a couple of years ago that I experienced my first real big bout of anxiety as its own entity. It was mostly in regards to social settings. We would go out with friends and then afterwards I would come home and I would be kind of hysterical, in tears, sobbing, really heavily breathing and just feeling really panicked and anxious about what people thought of me, if people hated me, if what I said was stupid, if I shouldn't have even gone. Felt really anxious post social engagements. And breathwork kind of came to me around the same time as all of this. I started to really dive into my breathwork practice, and it really helped me in a lot of ways to give me something to turn to in those moments to really anchor me. I think one of the most profound breathwork practices that you can do is just breath awareness. I think having breath awareness can bring so much information to you just about how you are doing physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And cultivating this deeper sense of breath awareness as I kind of got more into breathwork practices, I think really helped me in regards to my social anxiety, because even, in certain moments, if I started to notice my breath getting really fast and really shallow, it was like almost the first signal to me that something was wrong. And so I could usually be like, oh, okay, like my breath is getting really shallow. I feel like I'm starting to, this is the start of me panicking, like what's going on and what is this trying to tell me? Just having that breath awareness and just coming back to the breath allowed me then also the information to digest what was going on and to decide on if it was out of proportion. Emotion is this beautiful little packet of information. Emotions are trying to usually tell us something deeper. That's what's going on. Anger is usually a sign that there has been a boundary that has been crossed. Sadness is a signal that there is grief needing to be processed. But anxiety kind of gets a little bit muddled because sometimes our body. Hello, bud. We are getting our little visit from little hippopotamus. Do you want to say hi to everyone? We're talking about anxiety. You have a little bit of anxiety. Go sit down over here. Good job. What was I saying, Pip? You always distract me, bud. A lot of the time with anxiety, it's essentially something has been triggered that it triggers an internal reaction with you that doesn't fit with your external settings. So sometimes you can be in a perfectly safe environment. You can be surrounded by friends that love you. You can be in a perfectly safe space with nothing happening, and you can still feel that anxiety come in, that panic start to set in, because there has been an experience within that has triggered something, and now the body thinks, oh, because I'm in a similar situation, I'm gonna feel a bit panicked because when I was in this before, something bad happened, and so I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna feel fully safe here. And so there's a certain level of rewiring that has to happen. And so this is where, again, the breath can really help, because, you take this moment you acknowledge that there's been a shift, that you're starting to feel anxiety come in, and then you can use that as a moment to kind of deeply understand, okay, is this actually an experience that I need to acknowledge as information that my body is trying to give me? Do I actually need to be do I actually need to be panicked here? Do I actually need to be stressed here? Is a boundary being crossed? Is something going wrong? Or am I being triggered by something that has happened in the past, but now I'm in a safe space? And if that's the case, then okay, how can I rewire this? And this is where breathwork practices can be really profound. You know, for me, I would have these experiences where, because I had an experience with a friend who was really nice to my face and then behind my back wasn't really that nice, and I found out about it, now I had this panic around friendships where someone would be nice to me and I would be like, oh, but they actually secretly hate me. And so I'd feel like kind of anxious about it. Once I would start to feel those emotions kind of start to come up, once I started to feel that like social anxiety start to boil up within me, I could come to the breath as an anchor. Really beneficial one for me has been box breath. Box breathing is essentially same count for your inhale, your pauses, and your exhale. So if you're using a count of 4, it'd be inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4. Gives your mind something to focus on with the breath count, so counting 4 in your head. And it also gives a sense of balance and equilibrium. So you are bringing equal attention to all parts of your breath, and kind of sitting in those spaces in between as well. It's really centering and balancing practice. Another one is extended exhalation breath, particularly when I would be kind of in the height of a panic attack and need to have a practice available to really help calm me down. Would be inhaling for 4 and exhaling for a count of 8. The long exhales just help to drop you into your parasympathetic nervous system. Find that space of ease and rest, and can just help to get you out of a sympathetic state where you're feeling the fight and flight reflexes start to switch on. A lot of the time when I would be having anxiety attacks, I would try to use breathwork practices that would help me to get a sense of really grounding down and into the earth. While I would do this, I would also bring my attention to the places where I was making contact with the floor or the surface beneath me, and just bringing yourself back to these very basic foundational elements of your breath, and the contact you're making with the earth can sometimes be all that you need to just come back into the present moment and to recenter yourself when you're feeling an anxiety or panic attack start to happen. I think the most profound influence that breathwork happened when it came to my anxiety has actually been more recently, where I have really started to use my breathwork practice as not just simply a informative tool or a tool to get me out of a state of panic, but to also start to heal those trauma responses that I have using my breathwork practice. So I have a couple of practices that I really love to come to. I love to use Tumo breathing. I love to use a 2-to-1 breath count of 2 sharp inhales and 1 like, and just really slow, deep, long breaths, 1 breath per minute. And these practices, you know, it's not when I'm in a state of panic, but it's essentially to bring me into a deep sense of connection with myself and with my body. And a lot of these times in these breathwork practices, I can have these really beautiful pieces of wisdom just kind of come to me. I feel really receptive during these breathwork practices. It kind of opens me up and allows me to receive. And sometimes I have received just like words or sentences or just like this deep sense of inner knowing that has been really transformational and healing, so that I'm not just kind of putting a band-aid on my reaction. I'm not just like waiting for myself to get into a state of panic, but I'm actually engaging in a consistent breathwork practice that helps me in my healing journey. And as I heal, I start to heal all of these triggers and all of these wounds and all of these samskaras that I have collected in my life. In doing so, I have found that I very rarely feel anxious anymore, which is amazing. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for finding breathwork for helping to facilitate that space for myself. And you know, hopefully others. But yes, thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Please like and subscribe to this video. If you would ever like to work one-on-one with me for your own breathwork practice, I do one-on-one breathwork coaching as well as one-on-one yoga coaching, and all of that can be accessed via my website, which you can find through the link to my website down in the description. But yes, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being. I hope you take some time to take some really nice deep belly breaths today. And yeah, I love you. I'll see you next time. Peace.